All right, hey, what's up, team? So today we're going to cover my 9-step process or a framework for setting appointments on the phone, specifically cold calling for solar appointments. What is the actual framework that we can use to significantly increase the chances of success? And if you are watching this on YouTube or any other platform other than our internal platform, you can probably click a link below to download a copy of this. And also get a copy or a link to a script that you can use if you don't already have a script to be able to pair with this training to help you and your team set more quality appointments on the phones. But nonetheless, let's jump right into it. So let's take a look at what we're looking at from an aerial view, right? So 9 steps to booking cold appointments on the phone for solar. Step number 1 is the intro. Then we go program, quick pitch, program details. Then we're going to transition into the pitch at step number 3 right here. Then 4, we're going to paint the picture. We'll cover what that means. 5, recap and build the bridge. 6, we're going to transition into booking. 7, we're going to go ahead and confirm that date and time. And then we're going to qualify before we actually put it on the schedule. Then we're going to solidify twice that homeowner can make it. They don't want to back out. They don't have anything coming up. Then we're going to recap what we talked about and then close the call with the customer. Okay. So let's jump up into number 1, the intro, the opener. We know that the first 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds of the call are the most important part of the call. Reason being is because what's said in that first 5 to 10 seconds is going to either, grant you another 30 seconds or immediately burn the next 30 seconds in the eyes of the homeowner. So what you're saying for that opener and that intro is everything, right? A couple of the things that I want everyone to be prepared for is, where did you get my information? Where are you calling from? What company is this? Okay. In that first paragraph of your script, again, if you guys already have one or if you're using ours here at Revis, you need to be able to have this either incorporated or have into your script and into what you're saying, right? Or you need to be able to have it just ready to answer for the customer the second that they ask. And you don't want to give vague answers. If you pulled their information online or whatever the case may be, you guys need to be able to say that, right? We're talking about cold calling leads, and you want to make sure that everything your organization is doing or yourself is doing, if you're a broker, right, is of the highest standards, of the highest ethics, because not only do you just want to be an ethical salesperson, but you can also get fined for telling customers false information. Okay. So nothing rings louder than the truth anyways. If you want to build that rapport and build that relationship, just tell the truth. You don't want to waste time beating people to set an appointment with you. You want to talk to people who want to talk to you. If they don't want to talk to you, it's like dating. Go find someone who likes you. Why chase people who don't like you? Okay. So in the opener of that, when they're like, hey, where'd you get my information? Hey, no worries. Our company is getting a lot of inquiries in this particular area because of the rate hikes. So what we did was we paired some of our projects in the area. We actually just pulled public information and saw other homes who didn't have solar yet. And we thought that you guys might be a great fit for reasons X, Y, and Z. By the way, how much are you guys paying for power per month? Or you can use that pullback and see, again, you might not be a good fit anyways. We can take you off the list, et cetera, right? You guys know how to use pullbacks. So step number 1 is the intro, the opener. The main purpose is to pique curiosity and buy enough time to get to the next stage of the call. And again, you want to be prepared. Who are you and why are you calling? Do not info dump. You want to pique curiosity. Then you want to get permission to pitch before giving away the details. Speak slow and speak confident. A lot of times, when you guys get cold called, if you are a business owner or if you are a homeowner, you more than likely get cold called, right? And when you answer that phone, if you happen to answer a phone that says scam likely, when you do answer that call, what happens? They immediately start trying to pitch their entire program, and it's just such a turnoff. Don't do that, right? Speak confident, say exactly what you're calling for, who you are, where you're calling, right? But then don't give away all the details right away. You want to take baby steps, right? One bite at a time. So step number 2 is program details and quick pitch. This is under the assumption that you don't get an objection, and an objection isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is a good thing. I personally close more deals that give objections. This is in the home or even setting upfront early, then don't give objections at all. Because sometimes if they don't have any resistance at all, you really don't know where their level of pain is, what they truly care about, etc. So don't look at objections or resistance or objections are just questions in a curious format. Don't look at those things as a bad thing, okay? So be ready to answer the questions. Where'd you get my information? How did you guys get this number? Where are you calling from? What company is this? Don't panic. Don't freak out and start to feel all nervous. Still speak slow, speak confidence. Hey man, yeah, our company, we've getting a lot of inquiries in this area. So what we did was, this public information, we wanted to look at other homes in the area who might also be able to benefit from some of these similar services. And then we got this name and address from public information. Again, man, if this program doesn't make sense for you guys, no problem. We have no problem taking you guys off the list. You might not be a good fit anyways. But by the way, since I have you on the line, sir, how much were you guys typically paying for power last month or over the summer, whatever the case may be? The next one, if you guys are calling in anything that feels sort of saturated, a lot of areas in Florida, a lot of areas in Texas, a lot of areas in California, right? You need to be ready for that. God, you guys come by my house every day. You guys call every day, right? Whatever whatever the saturated statements are that we get in those cities, or just people who are like, yeah, we looked into it already. You guys got to come armed. And if you look at this is a mind map. I created this mind map for people who are visual like me, right? So if I'm a setter, I want something like this, like posted up on my wall, on my desk, whatever, versus looking at a word by word script. This format is actually much better because I know if I'm in the opener of the call, I can talk to a customer and then look at this and be able to navigate from this to the CRM much easier than a Word document with a bunch of paragraphs and words and lines, et cetera, right? So if you get that objection up front of, we've looked into solar already and it just didn't make sense, or, you guys call all the time, or you guys knock my door all the time, you want to jump all the way down to here. Hey, I'll be super quick. I know you've probably been talked to by 100 people in the past. And the problem, man, honestly, was looking at solar that it made no sense because you had to put down thousands of dollars, typically had a lien on the house, so you couldn't move for like 20 years. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? What we're doing with a response like this is we're basically taking all of the problems that come with targeting saturated areas, and we're putting it all into one statement so we can get the customer from being able to talk about that. We want to get the customer to a mutual agreement of, yeah, I know. So we're talking about, hey, we know that you probably think it's expensive. We know that you're not going to stay in the home. So I don't care really if you're going to move in 3 years or if you're going to move in 7 years. I already know that. And this still can make sense for you, right? And the other one is, so what do we cover? The cost, right? We know that you had to put tens of thousands of dollars down. We know there was a lien in the house. We know that hundreds of people have knocked the door. You probably already been through all that before, right? So once we get that yes or that right from there, all of that is out of the way. Customer can't double down on those things because you already put them on the table and say, hey man, I get it. I know these things have already probably happened to you. We're on the same page. I have a good understanding of that, right? And then also, again, we always want to use a pullback. Anytime we get resistance, you just want to pull back. You don't want to fight. Pullbacks are my best friend in the entire world, right? So somewhere around this line, if you get a pullback, it doesn't necessarily have to be for that objection that I just gave you guys a response to is, hey, no worries, man. I'm not here to sell you anything right now. And you might not be a good fit for our program at all. And if so, I don't even want to bother you again. But how much do you guys typically pay for your electric bill per month? A very easy question to answer. It doesn't require thinking. It's not a personal thing, right? And then once we get to the money, if that person is in a situation where obviously they could use savings, or that utility bill, because you guys are targeting great areas, is very high, that curiosity is going to make them answer that question, right? They're going to be like, it was $350, $400 last month, man, but solar doesn't really make sense for me. We already looked into it. Listen, when people say exactly what I just said, they really want this to work for them. They are just tired of trying to figure out how it works. When you get people who say, we pay this much, $350, $400, like I got expensive utility bills, man, but I looked into solar and the numbers just didn't make sense, or we wouldn't be a good fit. Like, they ideally want it to make sense. They really need the right person to be able to grab their hand and walk them through it and show them that the water's not that deep, and to show them exactly how the numbers actually do make sense. 90% of the people in our field who are knocking doors and submitting proposals do not understand how to show homeowners a return on investment in solar and put together a deal that makes sense for them, right? Or they're just simply not selling the right products. They're trying to push ownership in markets where ownership might not make sense, and they're pushing leases. Or they can only push leases and they're not doing enough discovery with the customer to figure out the customer has zero desire to lease and they actually do have a budget to own, right? And ownership would make more sense for that customer. But because of the products that you're used to pushing, you don't have patience enough to actually ask the right questions with the customer. Okay. So step number one, intro. Again, pique curiosity, don't info dump, get permission to pitch. Speak slow, speak confident, be confident about why you're calling, be confident about what company you are, be confident about how you pulled their data, be transparent about it, right? Use pullbacks. Pullbacks are your best friend. Hey, you might not be a good fit at all. I don't want to waste your time, man. Okay. I'm not here to say anything, just here to see if you got that savings report because we are giving them all for the homes in your area. Did you get a chance to get us? Did you get a chance to get that report from us yet? Right? Whatever's in your script. And if you need a script, we got one for you as well. All right, so let's move forward to step number 2, program details. It's basically simply explain what it's like to go solar, highlight the cost savings and expectations, do a mini pullback, then maintain call control by asking another question to move the call forward. That's basically inside sales scripts 101, right? Maintain call control by asking another question that moves the call forward, right? We don't want to give a full word vomit of our entire pitch, our entire program, our entire process right here. We just want to give a little bit of breadcrumbs because believe it or not, I still honestly want to invite the customer to give me hopefully a real objection if they have heard about solar before. I want to know the reasons why you didn't do it before. I don't necessarily want to have a full lane to run my mouth. If you have heard it before and you're just going to shoot me down at the end, I would rather be able to have a good conversation and break away those preconceived notions so that I have a blank canvas with that person, right? So again, I look at objections as a good thing in most cases because it gives me an opportunity to be different than the last person that they spoke with. It gives me an opportunity to really show them the value behind this thing because most guys just simply aren't pitching the value or they don't know how to pitch the value, right? So it is an easy way to be able to separate yourselves and then really connect with the customer, okay? So again, step number 2, we're giving a quick pitch about what this is like, right? And then again, if we give that quick pitch and for any reason we get an objection, hey, you know what, we're really not interested in solar right now, we're just, now's not a good time, whatever the case may be, what are we going to do here? A pullback. Same thing, right? So, and then I give you guys another example here. It's, hey, no worries. Only one in every 4 homes is actually a good fit for our program. So it might not make sense for you. But again, I'm not here to sell you anything, Mr. Jones, and I will take you off our list if you are not a good fit for our program. But a lot of homeowners near you that are paying amount mentioned, whatever bill he said prior, right? If he said $276, $235, $350, $650, whatever it is, say the exact same numbers or very close to it. A lot of the homeowners, and here I'm down here right here, a lot of the homeowners near you that were paying that same amount that you just mentioned were able to reduce and sometimes completely eliminate the utility bill, right? But what utility company are you currently with again? So again, I'm breaking down what he said. I'm pulling back from a sense of you might not be a good fit for our program, but a lot of people who are in a similar situation to you were able to do this. Is basically what that says. And then I'm going to maintain call control by asking a very simple question that is easy to answer, doesn't require him to think, right? But hey, what utility company are you with again? Are you with TXU again? Are you with Reliant again? Are you with, whatever FPL, whatever utility company you guys are selling with? You should be able to honestly, get that feedback from them in that moment, right? Easy question for them to answer. And then number 3, so we're going to transition to the pitch and full program details, and we're going to paint the picture. So transition to the pitch. This part is following how the program works. Essentially, what it's like to go solar. Now you want to paint the picture by storytelling how it worked for a specific use case similar to theirs, right? I'm big on painting the picture. If you've been on my trainings before, I talk about painting the picture and building the bridge all the time. Painting the picture basically means when we go through the customer avatars of solar that I've talked about a billion times before, you should know that based on every person behind every door and behind every phone, right? We basically have somewhere between 3 to 5 total customer avatars in solar. We have the biggest one is probably pre-retirees and retirees, right? Those are people who obviously want to make sure that in their retirement stage, it's comfortable. They have a fixed income, so they want to be able to obviously have a fixed expenses or close to it if they can. And then the second avatar is going to be working families, right? These are middle-aged people, maybe parents, young kids or middle school kids, high school kids, whatever the case may be. They're not ready to retire. They still got another, 10 plus years of working. And then the third demographic is like young millennial parents, right? They might be, I don't know, somewhere 30, 35, maybe have very small kids, a baby, or planning to have kids, but been in the home or just bought a house or been in the house for a year or 2 years, right? Younger new homeowners, right? This could go anywhere from late 20s to around 35 or so. There's a couple more, but for the most case, right, behind every door is basically one of those three people. Behind every call is basically one of those three people, right? The elders, the working families, and the young millennial couples, right? Again, there's other use cases: single business owner, single woman, single guy, rare cases of people like that, etc. But in most cases, those are the three big avatars that we meet with. I'm not going to go into all of the paint the pictures and the psychology of how to really speak to each one of those. But for this particular thing, once you have a good understanding based on listening to them talk on where you feel like they fit in that bucket, everything that you do to essentially paint that picture for them has to be on a similar customer in the same city who had a close similar utility bill that is basically just like them, right? The reason that we use storytelling and sales is because it does something different to the mind. People will listen to how something worked so much more intently when you describe it on how it worked for someone else versus you telling them how it's going to work for them, right? As a salesperson, if you're telling the customer, hey, this is what the product's going to do for you, they're going to listen to it with a very skeptic ear versus you telling them how it worked for Mr. Jones around the corner on 123 Main Street, who also lives in, whatever zip code. When we spoke with him, he originally thought that solar wasn't going to work for his house. He thought that he had to put money down, right? He thought all of these things. And then when we sat down and we looked at Mr. Jones's utility bills compared to inflation, he was about to enter his retirement stage and he was like, man, I'm going to be SOL, right? Like I'm on pace to spend so much, right? Unfortunately for him in our program, we were able to do X, Y, and Z with him. He didn't have to pay any money up front. He's also thinking about moving down to Florida when he retires. So because of our new program, this is actually going to make this transferable if he does decide to sell the home. So he doesn't have to worry about staying here forever if he doesn't want to. And now Mr. Jones, instead of paying 300, 400, 500 bucks every month, he now has a fixed payment that he's comfortable with. So now that he's in retirement with a fixed income, he doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff, right? When the grocery stores are going crazy with inflation, when the news is going crazy, when the utility rate hikes are going crazy and they have blackouts, Mr. Jones in this home is now set with a fixed payment and storage for his power, and he is in a much better situation because of our program, right? That's just a very brief example of what it's like to paint the right picture for a specific customer avatar. Everybody that you talk to is different, and you need to know from a psychological basis, how can you put your product in their customer avatar to make it feel like this is in their heart and in their minds, right? Like you understand them inside and out, right? So number 4, paint the picture. Then number 5, we're going to recap and build the bridge. So leveraging their customer avatar, you've painted the picture of how it worked. You've painted the picture for how it worked for a customer in their situation. In this peak moment, transition into booking, date, time, and closing, right? Okay, basically building a bridge is a new route away from pain. So when I'm describing, just to jump back to the Mr. Jones scenario of pre-retirement, when I'm describing to Mr. Jones, like how it worked for Mr. Gonzalez around the corner, right? And then on the peak part of me saying like, yeah, so now he doesn't have to worry about that. He's now comfortable when, his medications are going up and gas prices are going up and the news is talking about scheduled blackouts and all these things. He didn't have to worry about that. And then so I'm gonna use a mini pullback, and then I'm gonna build that bridge in a booking. But man, like I said, hey, we're gonna be taking care of this neighborhood all week. Again, you might not be a good fit at all, so I don't want to make it seem like this thing is gonna totally work for you, right? We won't know until we get that report over to you, but I do know, because you do have such high utility bills, and it only takes about 30 minutes to get this information, and it doesn't cost you. Actually, man, you know what? I have a couple of slots open. Would tomorrow or the day after be best for you? So I'm just going to take at the peak part of painting the picture, transition very smoothly into booking a particular date and time based off of everything that we discussed, with reasons why it would make sense for him. I think a lot of times guys want to try to just book people based on the fact that it's a good deal, right? We know it's a good deal, but they don't. You have to constantly tell them based on specific details in their life why they should do it tomorrow at 6, why they should do it Thursday at 12 p.m., right? Whatever the case may be, but you have to just speak their language all the time. Get away from the solar jargon, speak that customer's language, speak to specific things in their life, and they'll feel more connected to you, okay? So number 5, recap, build the bridge. Number 6, we're transition into booking. Again, you can expect an objection at this point, but guess what? You guys already know what to do. We're going to pull back at that point. So if I'm going, hey, Mr. Jones, you know what? The really cool thing is, it seems like, man, you really do have super high bills. The way my company works, I know other companies, they like to send out a pushy salesman. Hey, we work totally different, okay? Before we even come out to the home, I want to make sure that this thing is even going to make sense for you from a financial standpoint, right? The biggest thing that we're looking to do is we're going to come and we're basically going to show you, based on your utility bills, how many solar panels we can put on your roof to get that utility bill to 0, and then what it would look like if you had solar last month, okay? And if those things aren't so evidently, clearly lopsided to where it's a no-brainer, we don't even have to come out, right? So we can take care of this whole thing on the phone, and we can do this as soon as today or tomorrow, whichever makes sense for you. Again, but it might not make sense for you at all. But I have my best guy. He's super available. Again, it takes 30 minutes or less. Which one of these time slots makes the most sense for you? So we're going to confirm that date and time. Then after we get that confirmation, then we're going to go into qualifying. And for whatever reason, I know a lot of guys like to qualify first, or they'll see my trainings or jump on my trainings, and I'll start talking about date and time. And they're like, aren't you gonna qualify the customer? It's like, let's get them fully bought into what we're gonna do first before you start asking, hey, how long, what about the roof? What's your credit like? Like, get them totally sold in on the appointment first, because then they're not going to jump off the call. If you start asking things like that before you can get them totally sold on the appointment, what the appointment's going to be like, what they need to prepare for the appointment, what's in it for them, why do they even want to show up to the appointment? If you don't have all those boxes strongly checked, and then you start asking the customer, hey, just to make sure you have a 650 credit score, or you got to have a cosigner, you start, talking like that, why would they show up to the appointment? Or worse, why would they even book with you? Okay. So qualify after that. Qualifying questions. Let's take a look over here in the left-hand column. Leveraging their customer avatar. You've painted the picture of how it works in their situation. In this peak moment, transfer into booking the date and closing. I'm sorry, into booking date, time, and closing. This is actually wrong. Qualifying questions, we know what that is. This is the point where we are, obviously, for us, I'll break it down for everybody, for us, because this video is going to go two different ways. Obviously, at this point, we want to talk about the roof age, the roof type, if it needs any repairs. We want to make sure, we want to get a gauge on, because it's cold, on whether that customer has good credit or not, right? Our question is not like, hey, what's your credit score? It's, hey, how would you describe your credit? Is it excellent, good, fair, or poor? And just to let you know, it doesn't necessarily prevent you from going solar, but it might make it easier depending on what the consultant is able to provide for that home. Okay. So simple question. Then they'll tell you from the jump if they have good credit. I've got 800, no problem. Or we've got really good credit. We've got great credit. Me and my wife both have excellent credit. Or they're like, oh, I'm not comfortable giving out that information, or I've got challenge credit, I've got bad credit. Most will tell you, or they'll just say, oh yeah, it's fair. And it's fair that you kind of have to worry about sometimes. It's like, that's kind of hard to gauge. But typically it's fair means it's kind of maybe dancing on the lines of getting approved, especially in a time like this, for both leases and ownership, right? So qualifying, if you guys don't have your own, script already, or qualifying questions, Again, there's another link under this video to a full script training on what we're actually saying in our start to finish script, as well as the questions. But you need to ask about the roof, age of the roof, material of the roof, shading on the roof, breaker panel questions, people in the home, married, single, make sure they both show up, all that good stuff, right? And then we want to solidify, okay? So solidify. Cold appointments in general have a much lower show rate. Make sure the customer doesn't have anything that could potentially come up during that time. We booked the date and time. We've got the qualifying questions out of the way. Customers starting to feel like, okay, I'm really curious. I'm excited about this thing. I understand that I can move. I understand that I might be able to save money, but he or she also told me, and this is a big one, they also told me that it's possible that it might be a little bit more, okay? And if so, I can make that game time decision on that as well. But you need to set the best expectations. The homeowners can't feel like they had a bait and switch when the closer is speaking to them, if it's someone different than what was said to the setter. And I talk about this for both doors and phones all the time. Homeowners get pissed at all of us because they feel like, the setter said so much about having a cheaper bill, and then the closer comes in and shows, a $30, $50, $80 over bill, and they're just pissed. And then in their mind, they feel like all the shit that I ever heard about was sold was true. You guys are liars. You guys are scammers. This is inconsistent information. The news was right. My neighbor was right. Get out of my house. I don't want this thing. It doesn't make sense. Now, we talk about a set to sign mentality here all the time. A set to sign mentality. That means we're not setting to set an appointment. When you get down here and you start qualifying and recapping and solidifying, forget the appointment. Your job right now is to basically start getting that person to feel like they have the best expectations for physically what's going to happen at the appointment. They're going to look at the bills. They're going to show you some stuff about our company. They're going to show you the design. They're going to show you the layout of the panels. They're going to show you whether you get the federal tax credit or not, right? They're going to show you the financials. They're going to show you how much it's saved. And then if it looks like X and Y, they're going to show you what the next steps look like, so you guys can go ahead and submit that application to the utility company. This needs to be said at the set. And when you say it at the set, it's like the closing process has already started. The customer, in their mind, they know exactly what it's looked like. We like to say, yeah, then it's all digital. It's a DocuSign, couple of clicks from there. We submit some things to make sure that the home can get it, to make sure the utility company can even approve it. Because guess what, Mr. Jones? Even if you love what we put in front of you, your roof has enough panels, we can get that utility bill to zero. It's cheaper than what you're doing now, right? You still can move to Florida if you decide. Guess what? At the end of the day, man, the utility company could still say you can't get it. So what we like to do at that point, we don't want to get your hopes up too fast. We still have to go ahead and submit that. And our consultant at that time will be able to take care of all the paperwork for you. It's super quick. You guys can get the whole thing done in about an hour or less. We'll go ahead and submit that for you just to make sure we can get it taken care of, okay? Get them to say okay to that. Did you hear what I just did? I told them the whole thing. I told them we were going to try to close them. I told them we were going to sign DocuSign docs. And then I said, okay, at the end. And then they go, okay, cool. So you know exactly what to expect. This isn't a, hey, man, we can save you 30 to 50% on the utility bills. We can slash that utility bill and just, hey, what time can we come by, sign, seal, delivered? And then we're out of there, right? No, it's got to be so detailed to where it just feels like a handoff of conversation. And then one of the things, since I got you guys here, one of the things that I like to say a lot is to have them have that best expectations all the way around. And we really like to put worst case scenario in front of the customer so I can make the closer look like a hero. It's like, hey, and by the way, just so you know, the reason why we get so many inquiries in city, whatever city you're talking about, or neighborhood, just so you know, the reason why we get so many inquiries in Katy, Texas, is not because we're able to just, come under that current utility bill on a monthly basis. It's because people understand some people in the neighborhood are paying, 30, 40, 50, $80 more per month, but they understand that bill is never going to rise again. It would be like if you and I could guarantee the same dollar amount every single time we went to the gas pump. It's basically that, because I could tell you right now, Mr. Homeowner, make a joke with him on the phone. If I could guarantee that I will only pay $60, $75 to fill up my car every single time at the pump, and I wouldn't have to play a guessing game, I would do that every time, wouldn't you? get an agreement there. And they go, yeah, it's the exact same scenario. But right now with inflation, depending on how politics are, it can go all over the place. Now, fortunately, unlike gas, because gas sometimes can go back down, utility costs almost never go down. And the way that inflation looks and our country looks and them talking about a potential war, we don't know what that's going to look like. So the best thing that more Americans can do right now is financially protect themselves from both future rising costs and then also from rolling blackouts if you guys are still considering things like storage, right? But long story short, you need to throw out there into the air that the reason that a lot of people are inquiring about solar is not so much for a cheaper monthly payment, but the reason why so many people are inquiring about solar is because they get a fixed payment at a time when everything in America is going sky high. So if all of our expenses are all over the place, if we can take the second largest expense to our home and make it fixed, we got a fixed mortgage, but the energy cost is all over the place. We can also make that fixed. How much better of a financial situation could our family be in going forward? In addition to the equity, and not to mention, I don't have to put anything down as far as a down payment. I don't have to come out of pocket at all for this. It kind of sounds too good to be true. But again, not sure if I can even get it. Let me go ahead and book this appointment with this consultant, okay? So solidifying. So we want to, again, cold appointments in general have a much lower show rate. Make sure the customer doesn't have anything to come up. So I like to have 2 points of solidification on every single call, every single booking, door, phone. So it's going to go, I'll give you guys one line is, hey, sometimes people book these things because they're too nice to say no. I know we covered a lot. It does sound like, solar might be a really good option for you. I like talking to you, and it sounds like you like talking to me, man. But before I put this on our calendar and have one of our consultants block that time out, I just have to ask, this is something that you really want to take a look at. Is that right? 1 point of solidification. Perfect. And then also, so I got you down here at Thursday at 6 p.m. We know life happens to us all the time. And I would really hate to put one of my consultants on the calendar and have you waiting on him or her, and then they don't call, they don't show up, etc. I would really feel like a bad person if I did that to you. But I just want to double check again. I know, sometimes we miss things on the schedule. You don't have anything that could potentially come up that could prevent you from being able to make this time slot, do you? 2 points of solidification. Perfect, Mr. Jones. I've got you noted here, recap and close. Cold appointments and recap and close. I got you down, Mr. Jones, for Thursday at 6 p.m. I'm going to put you with one of our best consultants. Again, I gave you that email for you to submit that utility bill over to us. You can also snap a picture and text it to this number that I'm calling you from. We will need that in order to build that savings design for you, which again is just how many panels you're going to need on that roof to be able to take that bill down to zero, okay? And then he or she's going to look at that. We're going to be able to compare what you're currently paying now to what it would look like if you had solar last month, and also how much equity is going to go into the home. They're also going to cover the program specials for this month, which I'm super, super excited for. Actually, I'm going to do one thing for you because last month's specials were a little bit better. I'm actually going to put this next to your name, okay? So make sure you make this call because we have 3 months for free power as our special this month. But last month was 6 months. So I'm just going to put here that I actually spoke to you for the first time last month, because if this does make sense for you, I want to make sure, I really want to do my best to take care of you. I want you to get that 6 months instead of 3 months. Okay. Would that be okay with you? And then I want to give them a little bit that final touch of excitement, right? That final touch of rapport between me and them. I've solidified twice. Now I've given them a personal reason from me to them why they want to show up, right? I'm sweetening up the deal left and right for the customer at this point in time. Okay. So quick training at this point. Again, guys, if you have a script already, having a framework like this, visual, if you're anything like me, man, I could be on the phone, right? And I could just be staring at this on my wall, and it always lets me know where to go based on what the customer is saying, just to make sure that I'm staying on track. I'm being a professional. I still feel confident. I still feel in control. Again, there's a link below to download if you guys want a copy of this. If you don't have a script and you guys want a start to finish script to be able to pair with this, there's also a link down below for that as well. But hope this was helpful. That's going to be it for today. I will see you guys in the next training.